The Democrats still refuse to open up the federal government, even though 40 million Americans have now lost their SNAP benefits. Not that I really care about any of that, but what I do care about is watching Senator Ted Cruz completely pick apart Senator Markey in front of the entire world on this topic. But before we begin, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe on this video so you can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
In my opinion, questions of constitutionality and questions of whether or not the billionaire corporations are getting more out of this government than the poorest amongst us. And we're seeing that now play out in policy after policy, including this battle that we're having over health care and SNAP benefits for the poorest in our society. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Markey. And I would note that the recipients of SNAP benefits would get their SNAP benefits if the Democrats would vote to fund the government. And yet 13 times, the Democrats have voted party line to keep the government shut down. 13 times Republicans have voted to open the government. We're going to vote again to open the government. And at some point, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are going to stop holding the American people hostage. Now, Mr.
We're going to continue to fight until Trump provides health care for tens of millions of people.
Okay, so Senator Markey is telling everyone who gets food stamps, the Democrats are going to continue to vote against your getting food stamps. And it is reckless and irresponsible. And if you don't believe me, you can watch the videos of just about every single Democrat senator who has gone on TV over and over and over again saying it is reckless and irresponsible to vote against a clean CR. And now they're all, I guess hypocrisy is the tribute that vice gives to virtue. They're all doing that because they want to appease their radical base. Now, Mr. Potts, Mr. Erickson.
The president has $5 billion to take care of.
I recognize that Senator Markey has a partisan objective that he wants to hold the entire government hostage. By the way, the American Federation of Government Employees has called on the Democrats to end the Schumer shutdown. The National Air Traffic Controller Union has called on the Democrats to end the Schumer shutdown. But these Democrats don't actually work for their constituents. People getting food stamps, they don't care because they're willing to say, no food stamps go out on November 1st because the only people they care about are the angry people with torches and pitchforks at the No Kings rally, because this is a party that is captured by its radical left. And there are a whole lot of Americans who are hurting. Let's just take within this committee's jurisdiction air travel, where there are right now 50,000 TSA agents going into work, and they're not getting a paycheck. There are 14,000 air traffic controllers going into work, and they're not getting a paycheck. And we are seeing flight delays. We are seeing ground stops. And one Democrat senior aide told Politico that the Schumer shutdown will continue, quote, until planes start falling from the air. That is the very definition of reckless and dangerous.
Well, I would add to this conversation, if you want, that beginning on November 1st, 20 million Americans are going to get the notices that they're either losing their health care insurance or it's going to dramatically skyrocket. And that is a discussion that it's hard to have with Republicans since the House has not been in session for 6 weeks. They're in a political witness protection program.
You are absolutely right that Obamacare is a train wreck, and it has caused health insurance premiums to skyrocket. And Senator Markey will recall, I stood on the Senate floor for 21 hours saying that is exactly what would happen, that premiums would skyrocket. And if you don't believe me, you can look to the Washington Post, hardly a right-wing periodical, which said Obamacare, the so-called Affordable Care Act, is not remotely affordable, and it's caused premiums to skyrocket. And ironically, what our Democrat colleagues are fighting for is premium payments that are direct corporate welfare to health insurance companies, because Obamacare has more than doubled the profits of the giant health insurance companies, and working families in Texas and Massachusetts, their premiums have skyrocketed and it's unaffordable. And the Democrat solution is not to give more competition, not to give more choice, not to lower premiums. It's instead engage in more corporate welfare and write bigger and bigger checks to giant multi-billion-dollar corporations.
The House Republicans are in a political witness protection program. They're not in Washington. How can we
negotiate? They voted to fund the government.
And
They've done their job.
And there is designed neglect on the part of the Republicans to withdraw the premium tax credit for those 20 million Americans, and they're going to see their policies skyrocket over the next couple of months, and it's avoidable. It is not a catastrophe that has to be in existence, but unless the Republicans come to the table, we can't solve that problem because those rates are going to skyrocket.
42 million Americans who receive food stamps are not going to get them on Saturday, November 1st. And the reason is Senator Markey and just about every other Democrat is going to vote against those food stamps because he's got a partisan agenda, and feeding your kids is not part of his partisan agenda.
President Trump has $5 billion he could deploy right now to those SNAP recipients and take that worry away from them. But he's not going to do it. He's going to do it for any favored program.
So then Senator Markey will vote no on the
government, but not for those that he calls Democrat programs, like feeding the poor or giving health care to those most in need.
Senator Markey could provide the funding for those food stamps any day he wanted to. And to be clear, I've voted over and over and over again to fund those food stamps, while your party keeps voting no, 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 no. At some point, the political stunt will end.
So if there's something I actually do like about England, it would be their parliamentary system, because in Parliament, they're actually allowed to argue back and forth, which is kind of what this was. However, we have Senator Markey over there not realizing that if you're going to argue with someone in the Senate, probably a good idea to turn on your microphone, right? But he got that figured out eventually, okay? So, of course, what's the accusation? Oh, Donald Trump doesn't treat the poor very well in this country. How do we know? Because he's not choosing to fund SNAP. No, as Ted Cruz rightly points out, it's the Democrats who are choosing not to fund SNAP by simply not signing on to the continuing resolution that, of course, would keep the government open for the remaining couple of weeks before we have to have a new budget battle or continuing resolution battle, okay? But I love the points that Ted Cruz brings up. For years, the Democrats have been saying, oh, we cannot shut down the government. It's irresponsible. It hurts the American people. We have to negotiate any deals or budget battles outside of the shutdown, all right? And yet here they are turning around and doing a complete 180 and saying, yeah, now's the time we're going to have this budget battle over healthcare, over SNAP benefits, over all of this stuff, okay? But of course, Ted Cruz does a great job of pointing all of this out, all right? But the Democrats, of course, are on record as saying, oh, we want to keep the government shut down until the Republicans feel the pain, until there are planes falling out of the sky, okay? And of course, as Chuck Schumer said, the longer it's shut down, the more it helps us, even though the polling does not back that up. So I think we all know how this is going to end. The Democrats are going to cave, especially after those SNAP benefits get cut off. But Senator Markey, of course, is going to come back with the idea that Democrats have been flouting recently. There's $9 billion that Donald Trump could use to fund SNAP. Yeah, those emergency federal funds are supposed to be used in case of natural disasters or to support our military. The Democrats want to use it to fund SNAP for a very limited amount of time. However, of course, we did just have federal judges come out and order Donald Trump to go ahead and use those funds to cover SNAP. And I'm pretty sure this is going to go ahead and get overturned in the Supreme Court as well. Not to mention it won't have to be done until it gets to that point, so it's all null and void to begin with. But as I said at the beginning, the Democrats are solely responsible for this government shutdown. The polling shows that the American people are blaming them for it as well. And guess what? The labor unions are starting to come out and saying, hey, Democrats, please open up the government because you're cutting off our paychecks, all right? So the American people, the American workers have all turned against the Democrats on this issue because we realize who is solely responsible. Now, I would personally love to see healthcare get fixed, all right? But that, of course, means we have to repeal and replace or just simply repeal Obamacare. And that's not something the Democrats are going to easily agree to. So we have to have that battle and be ready for it in the coming months ahead, which I hope Donald Trump is gearing up for. But either way, this was very enjoyable to watch Ted Cruz recount all of the failures of the Democrat Party to Senator Markey's face. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me. Do you like t-shirts? Of course you do. And now you can support the channel by buying an Angry Teacher t-shirt designed by me, Angry Teacher. So if you like America, if you like freedom, if you like liberty, then go ahead and click the link in the description where all designs, of course, are 100% mother approved. So enjoy yourself and find something you like today.